Let's take a look at the vocabulary and concepts for our Chapter 1, Section 2, beginning with goods that are useful, relatively scarce, and transferable to others. So with goods, we're talking about products, things that you can see and touch, and that could be transferred, such as sold to somebody else, for example. And so anytime we're talking about that, we're talking about economic issues, and so we're talking about an economic product or an economic good. Goods that are intended for final use by individuals. So all of us as economic individuals are collectively referred to as consumers because we consume the things that we buy, and we're the final users of those goods and services. And so we refer to those as consumer goods. Examples of consumer goods, just anything that you buy. Your telephone, the food that you buy each day, you buy it and you're the one that uses it, as opposed to, I believe it's our next one, yes, when manufactured goods are used to produce other goods and services. Okay, so these would be like capital goods is what we would call these. These are items that are purchased in order to make other things. So, for example, like down in our shop where we have drill presses, welders, these things are goods that are bought so that you can build something else with them. And so those are referred to as capital goods. Another type of capital good would be a tractor on a farm. We don't just buy a tractor so we can consume the tractor. We buy the tractor because it's a tool in order to farm, so that we can produce products that can be sold and consumed by consumers. Capital goods. Goods that include both consumer and capital goods that will last for 3 or more years. We talked about this briefly in class. These are durable goods, a very important part of an economy. It's very important for an economy to actually be manufacturing durable goods because these are the higher paying jobs. These are the factory jobs that produce goods that sell for, relative to non-durable goods, they sell for a lot of money. So, I mean, it's the difference between a bag of Cheetos and a dishwasher, a difference of several $100s. And so those jobs tend to pay more than minimum wage. They require a little bit more skill. And so this is a big issue right now in the presidential election because so many of these jobs have been sent somewhere else because it's cheaper to manufacture durable goods such as hot water heaters, dishwashers, washing machines. These things are, quite often, these are built in different countries because the cost of labor in other countries is lower, and so that those jobs are have gone away from a lot of the communities here in the United States. And so durable goods, always a big issue in the economy, and in fact these reports come out monthly on durable good orders and how much people are buying, and these products are what consumers stop buying first when the economy is in a recession. If you're having trouble, if you become unemployed, buying a new dishwasher is not going to be a priority. You'll keep buying Cheetos, for example, and groceries, but you're not going to be buying microwave ovens, dishwashers, cars, television sets. An economic product that involves work that is performed for someone. So that's a service. It's like getting your hair done, going to the dentist, going to the doctor. These are services. Going to see lawyers. They provide a service. You don't necessarily go to them to buy products. This refers to a worth that can be expressed in dollars and cents. So this is value that we talked about here. So how much is it? Price. And we've talked, I believe, in previous lessons that the price is what motivates us. We make a decision based on what the price is. And we talked about value being a situational issue, and that is different depending on the particular environment that you're in, time and place, and it becomes somewhat of a personal issue. What some people would spend for a cell phone is not what I would spend on a cell phone. So value becomes a personal and situational. A situation where some necessities, such as water, have little monetary value, whereas some non-necessities, such as diamonds, have a much higher value. And this gets to the issue of the paradox of value, and whereby we talked in class that water is critical to life, but is really not that expensive, and other things such as diamonds, not critical to life as far as our personal lives go. Within the world of manufacturing, they're quite critical, but as far as jewelry, really expensive compared to the water that we consume. But it is a paradox, and so we talked about the answer to that paradox, and I don't know that we have that in here, but the answer to that paradox of value in your notes is that for something to have value, it must be both scarce and have utility. And utility refers to the ability of a good or service to provide us with usefulness. So what is the benefit to us? Why do we buy something? What do we get out of it? What do we get out of having a car, for example? Sport utility vehicle. Utility, the operative word in that term for that particular type of vehicle, meaning that it provides a lot of benefit. It's a nice enough vehicle that you can take the family out. You can go on vacation with it. There's a lot of room to haul cargo. It has a lot of times four-wheel drive, so you can drive it in all kinds of weather. You can put roof racks on it, take it skiing, take it out to dinner. So mom and dad can both be happy with this thing. With this particular car, you can go to the grocery store with your kids. You can take it out and go on a hunting trip. So multiple benefits, and that's why they call these things SUVs. So utility, usefulness of a product. The accumulation of economic products. This is the amount of stuff that you have, known as wealth. Wealthy people have more stuff than non-wealthy people, or less wealthy people. This occurs when a nation's total output of goods and services increase over time. Now, this is necessary in order to sustain the economy, to provide more jobs for the population, and so that is referring to the economic growth, an expanding economy. More people with more money and spending that money at an increasing rate. It's one of the problems that we have here at Tule Lake High School. Here in Tule Lake is that we don't have enough students, we don't have enough people, and therefore we really don't have a growing economy here. Tule Lake, to grow, needs more houses, needs more students. If we have those things, we have more money. We have businesses that open up downtown Tule Lake, which we don't have right now because there's just not enough people to sustain any type of economic growth. If this happens throughout a country, that becomes a problem. Let's see. The measure of output produced by a given amount of inputs in a specific period of time. This is productivity. And so the more productive people are, means that with less input, you can get more done. So more productive. And a big driver of productivity is education and technology. Generally, the higher your level of education, the more productive or more efficient people are, and the more technology that you have to work with. For example, you are more productive in your ability to learn when you use a program like we're using right here, either on YouTube or Excel. The fact that you can look at this video anytime on your smartphone makes you more productive than having to carry a 10-pound textbook around and try to dig through and find this thing. So it makes your time more productive. Productivity. This takes place when work is arranged so that individual workers do fewer tasks than before. This has to do with division of labor. Division of labor, a good example of that is an assembly line, for example, to build a car. A worker does a specific task and does it over and over and over again and gets really good at it. Division of labor you actually see happen here in the school. We're divided up into, we have math teachers, we've got history teachers, we've got economics teacher, the shop folks. And so you don't see me trying to teach you how to weld, learn about history, and teach calculus all in the same day. The classes that I teach are business type classes or technology computer classes, and so they're related. And so by doing so, I can get better at doing those things. I can specialize in those tasks. Okay, and so that brings us to specialization. This is what takes place when we do divide that work up, that division of labor. It takes place when factors of production perform tasks that they can do relatively more efficiently than others. Mr. Lund is much more efficient at teaching welding than I could be. And so that's the specialization. And this happens throughout our economy. When you need something done with your teeth, you go to somebody who specializes in teeth, and we call that person a dentist. If you need heart surgery, you don't go to a dentist. You go to somebody that specializes in that. Specialization. The sum of all skills, abilities, health, and motivation of people, and we're talking about human capital, people, labor, skills, education, human capital. A situation whereby we rely on others and others rely on us to provide the goods and services that we consume, and this is known as interdependence, economic interdependence. Very few of us make our own clothes. There was a time in history when people made their own clothes, and we don't do that much anymore. We buy the things that we need from other people. If you need eggs, you go to the store and buy them. You don't have, some people have chickens, but 200 years ago, people lived on farms, and so they would have had chickens and cows, pigs. They would have learned how to make their own clothes. But we are dependent on others to provide the goods and services that we need. Just take a look at what you're wearing right now. Did you make your own shoes? No. How about the shoelaces? Somebody, even the people that made the shoes relied on somebody else to make the shoelaces. Probably came from a different country. On and on. If you have clothing with a zipper, all right, the people who made that clothing were reliant on buying the zippers from somebody else, and the people who made the zippers relied on people to produce the metal or the plastic that those zippers are made from. So, interdependence. We rely on others. We are dependent on others. To be able to make what is this thing doing to me here? Don't play. There we go. To be able to make something using fewer resources than anyone else, or to be better at something over someone else. So this means that you're best at doing everything, and this is known as absolute advantage. An example of that would be if you are on the soccer team, and you can do everything better than everybody else, play every position better than everybody else, then you have an absolute advantage. And we're going to spend more time with this a little bit later on to find out that whether or not an economy or a country makes decisions based on absolute advantage, or if we do something called comparative advantage, but that will be for another lesson. So go through those, and then you'll be ready to take a quiz, and we'll also do some Quizlet Live and have some fun doing some practice with that. And I do apologize for the poor audio. I had the microphone pointing in the wrong direction.